if you ever travel to Europe, these are probably the 10 countries that you should be visiting.
What are the most popular countries in Europe to visit? That's what we're going to find out in this video.
Bulgaria.
Life sort of got back to normal in 2022.
No, let me just make up a list. Germany, France, Italy, Sweden, and that's it.
After 2 years of weirdness, one of the signs things are getting back to normal is tourism numbers. Before COVID, in 2019, Europe hit a record number of tourist arrivals with 743 million. In 2020, that number plummeted to 239 million.
It's because people started walking.
In 2021, we still had the pandemic, but people were getting the itch to see Big Ben, the Eiffel Tower, the Rhine River, and the Colosseum. So they started heading back, and in 2021, Europe saw 304 million tourist arrivals. The most updated numbers are from 2022, and they had just over 600 million tourist arrivals. So that's the road to recovery. By the end of 2023, it is predicted that Europe will get back to its peak or surpass the record numbers in 2019. So,
well, we're about to find out this. Usually people travel more during the summer, so we should be hitting the peak right now.
What are everyone's favorite countries over there? Each country is so different in Europe that it is easy to see why people have favorites. There are just so many things to see. Rome, Venice, Barcelona, Berlin, go into the Alps, Copenhagen, the Eiffel Tower, and the City of Lights.
Quick question, what do you prefer, to see the sea or to see the mountains? I'm preferably a mountains person.
There are just too many things to name. Today's video, we're going to look at the most popular European countries to visit post-pandemic. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look.
Number 10.
Number 10, the Netherlands. Overall,
I was about to guess that, yeah, Italy is number 10, but
is one of the most beautiful countries they have in Europe. The canals, the tulips, windmills, the Anne Frank house, and cycling routes. This is an excellent place to take a bike ride, especially if you have a couple extra pounds on you.
the Netherlands is the perfect place to cycle, especially if you live in Bulgaria and you compare what cycling areas we have and what do they have. At a moment in my life, I wanted to live in Netherlands because of their cycling areas. You can easily not use a car at all.
No hills anywhere. Most of the people that come to the Netherlands are coming to see Amsterdam. Amsterdam is a beautiful city with a lot of history. The architecture here really stands out. I mean, most cities, okay, all cities in Europe are going to have just amazing old architecture. Europe's been around a very long time, and most of those beautiful buildings were put up when they actually used to build the homes like they should, with rock and masonry,
they're indeed
not with
very
2x4s
beautiful.
and drywall like we do here in the United States. Besides Amsterdam,
This is so beautiful. Makes you wanna travel.
You have a few other cities you probably need to see if you do visit the Netherlands. The Hague, where you end up if you're a war criminal. Yeah, that's where they have the World Court. If you're a war criminal, that's where you're going to jail at, or at least that's where your hearing and your trial's going to be. And if you're there, just head on down the road and visit Rotterdam. That's another beautiful city.
While you're in the jail, you should just be visiting Rotterdam. Why not?
If you do visit the Netherlands and you do end up in Amsterdam, make sure you see the Anne Frank house. It's still there. It's a museum. In 2022, Netherlands saw 15.9 million tourist arrivals. Number 9, Austria. Austria is famous for classical music, stunning alpine landscapes.
A fun fact. The brother of my grandfather played the violin in Austrian's orchestra. Which one? I do not know.
And, of course, architecture. One of the best places to see great old architecture in Europe is in Vienna, and that's where most of the people that are visiting Austria end up. Austria is a landlocked country in Central Europe, lying in the Eastern Alps. It's a great place to start a European tour because it's surrounded by...
This looks like a scene from a computer game. It's so beautiful. It's amazing what places am I missing to travel to, but someday, when this channel grows,
a bunch of countries. Germany, Switzerland, the Czech Republic, Slovenia, Slovakia, Italy, Hungary, and the very small Liechtenstein. Vienna is the most populous city in Austria, and like I said, this is where you're going to find most of the visitors. Who's El Guapo?
If someone asks me about the meaning of life, well, it has many meanings, and what you're seeing on this scene is one of them. To gaze upon such places and visit them, of course, not just look at the monitor.
Said Austria. I guess he chose Austria. He said, I spent a few weeks there when I was stationed in Germany with the army. It's so clean. I've heard that before about Vienna and Austria. In 2022, clean. Austria saw 26.2 million tourist arrivals. Number 8, Portugal. It is hard to go.
I would never put Portugal, I cannot even pronounce the name. I would never put it in a top 10 list, but let's see.
Wrong with Portugal. It's a beautiful country, amazing people, tons of history, and it's really affordable. So I totally get Portugal. Portugal has 2 neighbors, Spain and the Atlantic Ocean. Its capital is Lisbon, and that is where a majority of the people go to visit. One of the other popular destinations is an island off of Portugal's mainland.
I wonder what this guy calls affordable. What standards?
It's called Madeira. Madeira is beautiful. It's a historic island. And they got these really cool toboggans you go on. It costs a little bit of money. It's kind of expensive. But you go up the top of this hill, the Monte area, it's by this church. And there's these guys that have these baskets with like skis on them. And they guide you down this hill at a pretty good speed. It's a lot of fun. On top of that, the food in Portugal is outstanding. And I think it's often overlooked. I mean, you got Italy right there.
Yeah, it's definitely
France.
overlooked.
People aren't going to really think of Portugal as a place for great food. They're wrong. It's great. In 2022, Portugal saw 26.8 million tourist arrivals.
Look at these crystal clear waters.
Number 7, Greece. Greece is known for its ancient
Greece is known for hot weather and olives.
ruins, picturesque islands, and Mediterranean cuisine. Honestly, I've never heard anyone say that they had a horrible time in Greece.
If I ever visit Greece, I'm probably gonna say I had a horrible time because I hate the heat.
Greece is one of those places where you go, and I've said it before, it's a good place to up your Instagram game. I think if you actually went to Greece and you're under like 60 and you didn't post all your pictures to...
Yeah, but these white buildings are not in whole Greece. They only show this part of Greece always in the videos.
To Instagram, I think it could be a crime in some states. Prior to the pandemic, Greece, well actually in 2018 and 2019, Greece was number 4 on this list both years. When my son was stationed in Italy back in 2007.
Who's making up these lists?
2018, something like that. They had to go train with the
Forbes?
Greek army, and they went to one of these islands out here in the Mediterranean, one of the Greek Isles. He said it was like no training. It was like an hour of BS, and then they all went and laid on the beach. Tax dollars hard at work. In 2022, Greece saw 27.8 million tourist arrivals.
If I have friends that have went outside of Bulgaria, 100% of them have visited Greece. I still haven't visited any other country than mine, but life goes on. 6.
Number 6, Germany. Germany offers a mix of history, culture,
Would be
and
a top 3 in my
attractions like the Brandenburg Gate or the Rhine Valley. Both are amazing.
Plus
it's a
food.
beautiful country. Personally, I'm not a fan. Just not. Don't like the place. I'd go to Austria long before I'd go to Germany, even though I'm a huge fan of beer. Speaking of beer, about...
I would like to agree with this person. I would go to Austria first and probably last in Germany.
6 million people attend Oktoberfest in Munich, Germany each year. Many of those in attendance are tourists from outside of Germany. In 2022, there were about 5.7 million visitors during the 2-week event. The record attendance for Oktoberfest in Munich was in 1987 when they got 7.1 million visitors.
When they got drunk.
Even though Oktoberfest is a big draw, there is plenty to see and do in Germany. Don't just go to Munich, go to Stuttgart, go to Berlin, obviously, Dresden, and Hanover. I've never been to Hanover. I read this book sometime during the 90s.
Do you know this street from somewhere?
Where the backdrop was in Hanover, Germany during World War II. Ever since then, I've wanted to visit. Haven't had the chance for that city yet. In 2022, Germany saw 28.5 million tourist arrivals. Number 5, the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom's
Yeah,
another
it's
country
one
that
of
is
my top
always
ones.
towards the top of this list. They get visitors
Probably it will be
all year
top
round, every way
1 or 2
possible.
for me.
Cruise ships are big in the United Kingdom. People flying in and out of London. Did you know the actual name of the United Kingdom is the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland? And it consists of England, Scotland,
didn't
Wales,
know.
and Northern Ireland, which is different from the lower part of Ireland, which is known as the Republic of Ireland. They have an open border and all that, and there's like not a big fence there. Everyone's got to jump over to get into Ireland or Northern Ireland. Imagine if they did put a wall up, getting all worked up. They're coming across the border and drinking all of our Guinness. We need a wall. It's just like crossing over to another state here in the US, you know. There's just a sign on the street that says you're now in Northern Ireland. The United Kingdom is rich in history, from London's landmarks like Buckingham Palace, Big Ben, the Shard, Victoria Memorial, the London Eye, Tower of London. There's a lot to see and do there. You can always head up to the Scottish Highlands and the history of Edinburgh. There are some really cool cruises that go all around the British Isles. That's on my bucket list.
I personally believe in the bright future of the UK, and speaking of stocks portfolios, the only stock that I have is I should not be disclosing such stuff, but I'm gonna say it's related to the UK economy.
It's going to be done within the next 2 years. The United Kingdom saw 37.5 million tourist arrivals in 2022. Number 4, Italy. Yes, Italy home to historical sites like the Colosseum, the Vatican.
I would
Venice,
never visit it.
Florence. That's what people go
Sounds
there for.
smelly.
That and the food. I love Italian food. Mexican food, Italian food. That's my pecking order. Mexican food, then Italian food, then a nice American hamburger. Yes, my taste palette is pretty limited, but I like those. And a lot of people...
For many years I was thinking that spaghetti and pizza are Italian foods, and now I do not know anymore. It sounds like spaghetti.
People go to Italy just to go...
Italians are very picky about their food. I want to make another video about that. It's both funny, and for us people in the Slavic countries it looks very stupid, but I still respect it. Still funny.
Go on a food vacation, believe it or not. My son was just in Italy 2 months ago. He went with my brother's family. He had a great time. They were like 2 weeks. First thing he said when he came back was, way more drinking than I thought was going to happen. Italy's an amazing country though. Those little chat bubbles I've been putting up are from a community post where I asked people if you could go and visit a European country, which one would it be? The overwhelming winner in that was Italy. Now that has nothing to do with this list. This list is from just going by the numbers, how many visitors they had, but more people in my chat thing chose Italy. In 2022, Italy saw 48.5 million tourist arrivals.
Probably Italy is the second destination that my friends are going. So first is Greece, and then they usually visit Italy.
Number 3, Turkey. Now, Turkey's a strange one. It could be a European nation, and it can also be an Asian nation. It straddles both. Turkey offers a blend of history, diverse landscapes,
Huge
and
country.
iconic sites like the Blue Mosque in Istanbul. You know how in the U.S. military we put our name on our uniform, and then right next to it says, you know, U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, Marine Corps, something like that, right? Or USMC for the Marines. When I went to Ranger School in the Army, we had a guy, we called him exchange students, but he was from the Turkish army. He came over and it had his name, and then it said Turkey right next to it, which for...
You can see two types of buildings. Those that look like they are about to break down, and those that look extremely beautiful.
some reason I thought was hysterical. Probably because I was totally stressed out and sleep deprived, hungry, wanted to go home, and was looking for something to laugh at. I laughed at that. Nice guy, he was doing really good till he decided to eat some poison oak. That got weird. On my community post, not many people chose
Do you notice the rainbow?
Turkey, so I thought that was kind of strange. I've heard nothing. I've never been to Turkey. I've heard nothing but good things about travel there. As far as the things
Junior Singh kebab. That's it.
to see, I have heard the people can be a little rude sometimes, but I mean, that could be said about any place.
As a pharmacist, I can tell you that there are a lot of people from the nearby countries buying cheap drugs that are most likely not original, and they get them in their own countries and sell them for more expensive. There is less regulation in the pharmacy and medical field in Turkey, so people visit the country for that type of tourism as well.
And apparently they have a sale on hair plugs or something. This guy, Donkey D, he says he wants to go to Turkey to get some hair plugs or a hair transplant. I don't even know if that's the same as plugs. More power to you. Hope it works out. In 2022, Turkey saw 50.5 million tourist arrivals. Number 2, Spain. Right next door to Portugal, you got Spain. Spain's a pretty good sized country by European standards. Over here in the United States or in North America, compared to Canada,
It looks beautiful, but it's still on my last on the list, like 9 position.
Mexico and the United States, it's kind of a small place. Did you know you could be standing in Spain, walk 10 feet, and be in Great Britain? Yeah, it's Gibraltar. It's a British overseas territory and headland. It's on Spain's south coast. Obviously, at one point, it belonged to Spain, or most of its history. Then the British got a hold of it and turned it into a big artillery position back in World War II.
There is a whole scene in Caribbean Pirates that involves that place.
They evacuated all the civilians and put giant cannons that could fire out into the Mediterranean. But Spain is known for its vibrant culture, historic cities, beaches, and famous festivals like La Tomanita, which I hope I pronounced that properly. That's a tomato festival where they throw tomatoes everywhere. And of course, the running of the bulls. Spain is beautiful. You got...
As a child, I've always seen videos of the Lata Tomita or whatever this guy said. People throwing tomatoes, and I was always thinking, even as a child, what a waste of vegetables. What a waste of food.
You got Madrid, you got Barcelona, Seville. There's another town on here that I've only seen pictures of and I really want to visit someday. It's called Leon, which is in northwest Spain. Beautiful city. The thing you want to do in Spain, I mean, there's a lot of things to do, obviously. Like I said, running the bulls, things of that nature, but you just want to see the cities. The cities are beautiful here. The architecture is amazing. It's really hard to find ugly beaches here. In 2022, Spain saw 71.7 million tourist arrivals. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This. Things like that. There's the thing. And number 1, France. Imagine that, France.
Yeah, even Mr. Beast recently visited France and he was astonished. I don't think most Americans know how beautiful Europe is, but when they visit France, they realize how beautiful it is.
Honestly, I doubt France is a surprise to anyone. I mean, Paris, the city of lights, it's an amazing city. Keep hearing it's a little bit dirty, but then in reality, every major city is. As we all know, France is known for its iconic landmarks like the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, and the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Then, of course, you have the beautiful countryside regions and wine country and all that stuff. And stop typing. I know the Leaning Tower of Pisa is in Italy. Come on. Who was leaving the comment telling me I'm an idiot? Speaking of the Leaning Tower, if you ever want to read some interesting stuff on what they've had to do to keep that thing going and kind of standing, I would say upright, but it's really not. Interesting history of that building. But back to France.
We
If
should
you visit
read the-
France,
we
there's
should
a
watch
bunch of
about
things you
that.
gotta do. Disneyland Paris isn't one of them. I heard that one's not that great. I've heard nothing but complaints about it. If you've had a better experience in Disneyland Paris, let me know. If you do go to France, one thing I would suggest you trying to get out to see is Mont Saint-Michel, which is this old abbey. It's perched on a 92-meter rock face that has some very interesting history that dates all the way back to the Middle Ages.
Looks like Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings.
This was a destination for pilgrims and artists all the way back from whenever, and today it sees between 2 and 3 million visitors every year.
Amazing
if you ever take a
architecture.
cruise that tells you Paris is included in this cruise, keep in mind it's like a 3-hour bus ride. One thing I'd really like to do when visiting France is go on that Band of Brothers tour, that movie that's the true story about the guys in World War II. They have a tour that goes to all the locations. Totally want to do that. In 2022, France had 90 million tourist arrivals. This is interesting. Almost half of that, 44 million, went to Paris.
Alright. So, what are your 10 countries that you want to visit in Europe? Or at least one? Please let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe.